Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor, back with another action packed session. Today, we're going to talk about how to go from 1 to 10 plus rental properties fast, like how to get there laser quick. And I know a lot of you guys want to get 1 or 2 properties before the year is out. Some of you want to get out of the 9 to 5. I'm going to break down exactly how this works. We're going to cover why most people get stuck. Then we're going to go to the 24/7 cash flow blueprint and then how to go fast. So make sure you stick around to the end. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribed, share the content with someone who you want to get value. A little bit of housekeeping is right now, the main focus is the Boots on the Ground program. We're doing a training tomorrow night. We're doing another webinar specifically on Boots on the Ground because it's been helping a lot of people to get the leverage that they need to scale to the next level. And that's our program where we find, finance, rehab, tenant, and manage properties for you. So if you're in New York, you're in California, you're in some of these priced out markets, and you need leverage, a system to tap into so that you can invest out of state, that's the Boots on the Ground program that will help you to get there. Guys, if you just want to tap into the course content, you can click the link in the description, click the link in bio, and you can tap into the 24/7 cash flow community. It's $27 to join, full disclosure, and it's just to keep out the tire kickers. We would make it free, but you always want to kind of keep some barriers to entry because we're building a strong group. Somebody in the group just posted today a opportunity where they can help you to get business funding. I believe it was up to, I have to look again. I think it was up to 250,000, 0% interest, 12 months. But I know it's at least like 50K, 50 to 100K, something like that. So we have members even outside of me in the community that are offering things that, can add a lot of value to your operation. So definitely make sure you tap in if you need community, if you need resources, relationships. My architect's in there, my engineers in there, my eviction attorney's in there. Like, we have all these different relationships in there that you can tap into and accelerate yourself while you educate yourself. And then we'll have our next ride along tour. It's pretty much sold out, so you're not really going to catch me promoting it too much. But it's August 16th. There might be a couple of seats left if anybody's interested in spending the day with me touring properties in Philly. Let's get into this thing. Guys, drop your questions in the chat in the comment section. I'm going to flow through this thing. So how do you go from one? A lot of people I talk to, they have one rental property and they're like, I want to get to 10 plus. I've been hearing this a lot. I'd say even over the last couple of weeks, or people that approach me and say, hey, I got 2 to 5 properties, but I'm stuck. How do I get to the next level? The good news about that is you've kind of already beat the hard part of the game, which is just doing your first deal. So many people are afraid to pull the trigger, jump and allow the net to appear and just do their very first deal. But even after doing your first deal, getting over that hurdle, a lot of people get stuck. I would even argue that most people get stuck somewhere along the journey from 1 to 10, usually long before they get to 10. And these are the reasons why they tend to get stuck. Let me zoom in a little bit because I don't want us getting too far ahead. Then the first one is limited capital. A lot of people enter this game like I did with limited capital. When I first got started, it took me a couple of years. I saved up 20K and I got started in the game. I luckily did a FHA house hack, so I only put down like $5,000 to get into my first property that was cash flowing about $1,000 a month. I'll break that down on tomorrow's training, and I've kind of gone through those numbers before. But having limited capital, my second deal, I didn't know what the different lending options were. I didn't know what banks to go to and who to talk to. So my very next deal, I ended up putting down like 30, 35% damn near on a multi. And that really crushed my capital. Having limited capital traps a lot of people, mostly because we're all limited when we just get started. We don't have knowledge of the different options on how to leverage our capital and maximize our capital. That's one of the big benefits of mentorship, of even community, or just tapping into knowledge. Even like for the 27 bucks, tapping into the knowledge to learn how to leverage what you have better, because there are only 2 things in real estate: knowledge and money. The less you have of one, the more you need of the other. So if you have very little capital, you need a ton of knowledge to offset that. And we're going to talk about like some of the strategies that you can utilize to invest without cash or credit. But bad financing is kind of part of that limited capital. It kind of goes hand in hand with bad financing. When you're new to the game, you don't really know what banks to talk to. So many people come to me and say, Brian, how do I even get a second loan? I went to the bank and they said my debt to income ratio was bad. So I just stopped. And it's like, damn, you're talking to the wrong lender completely. You're talking to qualified lenders. You need to be talking to non-qualified lenders, the non-QM market. That's where you need to be. They'll issue you 100 rental property loans. They don't care. So you need to be some of us, because we lack the knowledge, we're barking up the wrong tree. And then we get stuck right there, because when you're very new to the game, you kind of believe whatever the last person told you. A lot of people will even when they tap into mentorship, they'll ask me things and I'll tell them, based on a decade's plus worth of experience, over 400 deals worth of drama, BS, wins, losses, like everything, the city, inspectors, and I'll tell them the right answer. And then they'll go and ask a realtor, a broker, maybe a lender, maybe a insurance person, and they'll tell them something different. And they're like, kind of believe in that person. You have to understand, like, you want to educate yourself to a level where you can navigate, but there are people who've gone through all of your hurdles, everything you can imagine in real estate. Oh, I don't have enough cash or credit or that. Do you think that everybody stopped there? You have to kind of step out of it. I know we all have our desire to like accelerate and get to 10 plus deals and get out of the 9 to 5. But just think about it logically. Out of all the people in the world who invest in real estate, do you think all of them stopped because of a credit issue? Do you really think that everybody stopped because they had bad credit, so they just sat on the sidelines? There are so many people who go around that hurdle, who navigate that. And there's knowledge out there for how to navigate that issue. People don't stop there. People don't stop with financing, even to the degree like you could come to me and say, hey, Brian, I have a 550 credit score, so I stopped. I'm going to wait till I get my credit score up. Not knowing that, well, Brian's got lenders that'll lend down to a 500, 550, 500. Some are no doc lenders, no credit check lenders, not understanding that these relationships even exist out there. So by nature, unless you've come across a professional investor who's been around the block and who's explored all these relationships, you likely have bad financing. You highly likely have bad financing set up, or financing that is not going to allow you to accelerate to the maximum extent, or not enough financing partners. It's always some type of bad financing issue that can be holding you back, that can keep you stuck. So solve that. There are lots of lenders. There's so many lenders. As you navigate this game, you're like, well, damn, do you even need any money? There's private money lenders, there's hard money lenders, there's bridge lenders. There's just so many. So you need to get in the right bucket, get put in the right in front of the right opportunities and right lenders, and you will accelerate. I will answer that question, DJ Westbrook, which said, what are the pros and cons of Philly versus the Baltimore market? I will answer that once we hit a quick break. DIY burnout. This is another thing that holds us back. Trying to do it all yourself. Thinking this is Property Brothers. Thinking you're going to run in and you're going to save money by picking up a hammer. You're now going to become better from watching YouTube videos than some guy whose uncle taught him how to build houses when he was 6 years old. He's been building houses since he could walk. And you think you're going to pick up a hammer because you watch some YouTube videos. You're going to get in the way. You're going to burn out. I knew a guy when I was really young, really, really young, who had 10 plus he had 11 properties, we'll call it 10, 11. And he did all the work himself. He managed it all himself. All the tenants knew him personally, and he fixed everything with his bare hands. And he burnt the F out. I seen him 15 years later. He had 2 houses. And he just looked fried. And I was like, damn. Burnout. DIY burnout is real. Never build a system. In fact, don't design your real estate business to require you to do things, these certain types of aspects for it to be successful. The problem with even building it DIY in the first place, in any aspect, outside of like acquisitions, finding good deals, building systems, kind of building an operation, which we'll talk about. And that's what kind of boots on the ground with that program not only does for you in building you a house and building you rentals or flips, but also shows you an operation. But in building it to do it yourself, you now have gotten accustomed to practices, business practices and strategies that are not really profitable with the right systems and people and personnel in place. They're not profitable. So scaling becomes so much harder. In fact, you start to find that you have trained yourself to not really be able to find profitable deals that could support a real construction budget. They all require you to do the work. Therefore, you can't go faster. Therefore, you burn out. And don't get me started on self-management. Even if you want to build houses yourself, or you have that talent. Some of you, many contractors will come to me, Brian. I understand how to work with my hands, but I don't know the money game. They're dealing with bad financing, not even limited capital, but really bad financing, just not understanding the game. You could do that work, but definitely don't manage yourself. Definitely don't be answering the phone. You have to at least put property management in place until you're at a level. I would say when you get to 10 plus properties where you can let go of property management and bring in virtual assistants to take over, but just don't do it yourself. Build a systems. And that's the next one, the last one. Oh, well, not the last one. The next one, lack of systems, which is part of DIY burnout. If you do it yourself and you build the whole business on DIY, you will lack systems. When you lack systems, you will burn out. Without systems, you can't have leverage. You can't hire personnel and put them into your company, which you are. You guys are a startup. You're a startup company. Stop viewing yourself as some person running around investing in real estate and buying houses as just a regular person. You're a startup. You're a company. Start to view yourself correctly. When you view yourself as a startup and a company, you will naturally be looking to acquire systems and put them into your real estate operation, because startups leverage systems. They're lean and mean. They use as few people as possible and as many systems as possible, as much technology as possible to scale. And then they raise capital, which we'll talk a little bit about today. But you'll probably lack systems. You need systems. You need personnel in order to scale, to do 3 deals at once. You need some systems. Fear of debt. This is probably bigger than anything, shockingly. A lot of us come from communities where nobody talks about money. And whenever they do talk about money, it's very negative. And there's a lot of fear of debt in those communities as well. There's either fear of debt from some horror story from somebody who got in extreme debt, or there's a lack of respect for debt. They're just debt, levered to the hills, but no investment IQ. You're dealing with that in these types of communities. But what I found is even people with an investment IQ haven't been able to break through the fear of debt. Because there's one thing to say you want to go out and do, hey, I want to build 20 houses a year. Well, are you comfortable writing that level of check? Are you comfortable stroking a $150K check at once and just watching that go out the window in order to achieve your goal, to put that into the game? Are you okay taking out the $2 million, $2.5 million, $5 million, $10 million loans? Because those are all muscles that you have to build. And knowing that those are kind of out there, that's part of the real estate investing. A lot of people fear the debt because they don't understand it. They don't understand the benefits of it. They don't understand the difference between good debt or bad debt, that they fear it. And then that fear keeps you trapped. That fear is very dangerous too, because the average bear can't really see it. They don't understand the degree of fear that they have of the debt, and that's actually what's holding them back. They'll actually start to look at some of these things. Limited capital. Oh, my capital's too tight. I'm like, you got enough capital. The financing, go over here. Okay. I want to do this myself. I'm going to get my car and no, you're not. We're going to hire some college kid with a smartphone. You're not doing it yourself. Okay. Because I'm getting you past procrastination, roadblocks, self-inflicted hurdles. Got to get you through those. But that fear can hurt you. Guys, if you're getting value, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribe, share the content with someone who you want to get value. Let me answer this question. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat, drop them in the comment section. If you want to tap into our Boots on the Ground program, just DM me, text me, drop a comment that says Boots on the Ground. We have limited capacity. We're going to bring in another 2 people this month. I'm not sure what we'll do next month. But those doors will probably close in a couple of days. but definitely reach out. What are the pros and cons of Philly versus Baltimore markets? It's a good question. We'll probably clip this out into a separate video, maybe. Um, I would say Baltimore is Philly, just maybe 15 years behind Philly, which is a good thing because it's still at a stage where you can buy properties for really cheap. You can buy them dirt cheap. The problem with Baltimore over Philly is less lenders believe in Baltimore than Philly, and that matters when you're. Sorry about that. Let me share the screen again. That matters when you're going to scale. When you're going to scale yourself to the next level. I want to zoom over here. You're going to have these limited capital and financing issues are always a part of your scale up. They're always a part of it. So where you decide to invest, Philly versus Baltimore, I'm not looking just at the market. I'm looking at what the lenders think because I know the lenders. I'm in their head. So I know how they think about the market. So if they're squeamish on it, like I know they might be squeamish on um, Detroit, or they might be squeamish on Cleveland for whatever reason, I'm listening to them. Once they say, hey, we're not going to run it with no big money over, and then I'm like, okay, cool. Then it's not ready yet. It's not ready until the market sentiment is ready. When the big money says, yeah, we like it, we're feeling the opportunity, I'm like, cool, let's go, giddy up. So it's not that I would even say most lenders are squeamish on Baltimore, but there are price issues there in the sense that even if you can buy, let's put it this way, from a lender perspective, you have to think like the lender. Even if they can, you could buy a property for 30K, put in 50K, you're all in 80K. Does the lender want to write an 80K mortgage or an 800K mortgage? It's the same amount of paperwork. It's the same amount of work to write the 80K mortgage as the 800K mortgage. And they get paid a percentage of the loan amount or of the mortgage amount. So they don't want to write no sub 100K or sub 150. That number can keep going up. So that could be a limit. Now you're limited on your deal flow that can receive financing. These are limits that don't exist in Philly. Don't exist because the spreads are there. Because the numbers are naturally at a developer spread range where you can buy for 60, put in 80, and it's worth 240. It's like a perfectly ripe market. It would be like if you view it from a developer standpoint, it's like walking down the park on a sunny day and a tree just hanging over with a nice, juicy freaking mango, and you just pluck it right off the tree. Nice and fresh. It's just low hanging fruit. Philly is because of the spreads, because of the lenders, because of the sentiment, because of the location, the fact that New Yorkers keep moving in, driving up prices, the gentrification. It just has so many things going on, and it's the sixth largest city. Baltimore also is not as developer friendly as Philly, as annoying as Philly can be, and it can be a bear, but it's better than New York or California or some. If you start naming other major cities on that top 10 list, Philly's the sixth largest. So if you go to the largest cities in America, it's probably the easiest to develop in, or amongst the easiest in ranking of the top six. It may be the easiest of the top six to invest in. So it is developer friendly. Baltimore is like, they just have some bottlenecks. Like a Baltimore bottleneck that I wouldn't experience in Philly would be like, hey, they find you $50 for the grass not being cut. So you mailed, and they only have one way to pay, through the mail. So you mail it in, and even though it was sent on time, they didn't open the mail for 2 months. So now they're rejecting the check. They mail you the check back, and they say, "Oh well, the payment was late because we didn't open it for 2 months. And you're like, what the fuck does that have to do with me? What does that have to do? But that's how that type of stuff can exist in Baltimore, like across the line in many things, because I talk about this a lot in real estate. There are philosophies, there are real estate philosophies and logics that are out there. Well, when you go to a different city got a different logic. It's a whole different universe. So Baltimore has a Baltimore logic. And that logic is it will really slow you down. It will really slow down a project. You also, one other thing about Baltimore that you have to consider is they have some of the toughest lead laws in the country. So you have to lead abate your properties when you renovate them, which means your cosmetic rehabs are kind of out the window. If you want to be a buy and hold landlord, you have to BRRRR strategy this thing. You have to basically gut rehab this thing, which is why the gut renovation knowledge, what we focus on, one of the core principles to me, if I look in any area of real estate investing, any understanding of the construction knowledge, how to gut rehab and the general cost of construction is fundamental to all of it. Wholesaling, creative financing, BRRRR strategy, midterm rental, short-term rental, all of it. It's fundamental. It's still the cost of construction to different degrees. It's very fundamental. So you need to learn how to gut, because there's going to be a lot more. There's always going to be opportunities for a gut rehabber because they unlock, they open up in certain markets, in dilapidated areas. How does that happen? There are dilapidated areas where you could buy the houses for 30K, but they're only worth 100K when you're done with them. And they need 100K of rehab. So that wouldn't make sense, right? You buy for 30, put 100K into it, and it's only worth 100K. I'm in a whole 30K. That market sits. And then people stop looking. And then one day, some guy comes in with some relationships with a hedge fund, and he starts flipping them to the hedge fund for 225. And there's a window of 6 months where you can still buy them for 30 because nobody knows yet. Nobody's paying attention. They stop looking. So the developers come in and they buy 30 houses, 50 houses, build a backlog, just build for a year. Buy it for 30, put in 100, it's worth 230, pull out 30 on the refinance, get paid 30K to build a house. And the market unlocks. So you'll see a lot of Baltimore unlock. You'll see Philly unlock. I think it's easier to build in Philly. I think Philly is riper. I think the lenders believe in it more. Well, I know all these things. I say I think, but I know all these things. The lenders believe in it more. It has it will appreciate faster. But Baltimore's got, I mean, hell, if you can buy a property for 60K, here's another philosophy, and then we'll get back into this training. Here's another philosophy. It's called the inherent value philosophy. So what's the cost? This is all logic. You have to understand some of these logics. But what's the cost to build? If I went into Baltimore in the hood, I go to West Baltimore on a grinded out block. I buy that house for 40 grand, 50 grand. If I blew that house up to the ground and tried to brick it back up, just the foundation, just to dig out the basement, tap into the utility lines and just build a shell, just the exterior walls and shell, it would probably cost me 80K. It would cost me 60 to 80 grand easily. So you're buying, if you can buy something from the auction for 25, 30, there are still deals you can buy for 15K. There are properties I grabbed in Baltimore for, I believe I got a duplex for, I had to go look at the numbers. I should probably present these numbers on a training, but I got a duplex in Baltimore for like 16K. I bought a house off the MLS in Baltimore that was fully framed, plumbed, electric, HVAC'd. All I had to do was put up drywall and finish. I bought it for $12,500 off the MLS, just sitting there. And then somebody blew up the block across the street and built a whole, just resurrected a whole bunch of townhomes. Love when they pour in money next to you. But the philosophy is, if you can buy cheaper than the cost to build, then you're naturally buying value. Eventually, all of these major city markets, especially with the macros like a sister city, people get priced out of DC, they move to Baltimore. Get priced out of DC, slide into Baltimore. It's logic-based traffic. It's going to happen. Still get to your job. They'll just keep moving in deeper and deeper. Then they'll build out from the universities, and then John Hopkins will keep building in. It just keeps happening. Your value will at least return to par. Par value to build the entire house is probably like 250, 220, even for like, this is for like a sophisticated developer. There's people that are going to easily pay $200, $225 a square foot on a $1,200 square foot house. You can do the math. They might pay close to $300K. An experienced developer could build that row home for $220. If you're buying it for 40 and stuffing in 60 even, and at 100, you hang on to that thing. It's going to go back up to 225. Easy, easy, and higher. So Baltimore still presents that opportunity for the long-term objective. If you want to have your properties 3x in value and your rents double, Baltimore's got some heat, because the locations you can buy in, you can get in the mix, but you're going to run into a lot of issues unless you're full gut rehabbing everything and willing to just go slower, because the city moves a little slower. You can only move it so fast. Somebody said, I live in Baltimore, and I agree 100%. There's a lot of doubt about Baltimore. I don't doubt Baltimore. I believe in Baltimore. Let me say that. I believe in Baltimore. I just believe it's behind Philly. Nothing wrong with that either. Nothing wrong with its location. I think there are many benefits to its location. It's also just tougher to build in. It's tougher to develop in. And you have to navigate every city. Every city is it's its own universe, man. They have their own logic, and you have to figure out its logic. And then you're like, oh, okay, you just don't give a fuck. Okay, cool. Gotcha. And you have to design your deal flow around the logic so that you have the easiest path. You want to go with the stream. You want to flow with the stream. Now, I did have a tenant not pay during COVID in Baltimore for 15 months. And Baltimore cut me a check for all 15 of those things. And that was crazy. I don't know that Philly would have done that easily. That I will also say about Baltimore. When it came to that, they were tough on evictions, but they really held down. Like, if you applied for the assistance, they hit landlords off with the bread. And that was a lot of love. Somebody strokes you $15K in a check. Like, hey, we covered the rent. We got your back. So it's like, all right, I can deal with that. I can deal with that. Let's get back into this thing. Guys, if you want to tap into the 24/7 cash flow community, click the link in the description, click the link in bio. You can tap in. It's $27 to join. You get lots of knowledge. You get, more importantly, you get to network with other like-minded investors from across the country. And that takes a lot of fear out, in my opinion. A lot of fear out to see other people doing it. The 24/7 cash flow blueprint. It's kind of a combination in terms of solving some of your problems and trying to go faster. You need to learn how to recycle your capital. You're going to recycle your capital by getting into the BRRRR strategy, getting into buying properties cheap. Maybe you go to the auction. Maybe you have wholesalers bring them to you. You know, there's lots of ways to get in front of cheap properties. Lots of ways. And then you will use your capital to get in and out of these deals. You need to value add as well. So there are going to be times where you buy a single family, you convert it into a multifamily. You're kind of mixing up your strategy. You mix up your strategy so that you can get yourself to the next level. So you're doing a bit of that. You can also mix in some fundraising, which is good, because as you get better at this, I don't recommend fundraising, early, if at all, if you have to, because if you really get good at this and you start buying singles, converting them to multis, unlocking 150K there, buying from the auction, getting really low to the ground, unlocking value, kind of setting up value plays for yourself. You probably won't even need to raise funds, but with the right mastery of the BRRRR strategy, you could successfully raise, a million, a half a million, and lever that into deals and stabilize those deals and provide a return. So it would be a combination. If you have extreme capital issues, remember and never forget there are only two things in real estate: knowledge and money. The less you have of one, the more you need of the other. In fact, I would even take that further to say that the knowledge of real estate is more valuable than the money funding it, because the money finds the people, the people who know. The money finds the people who know how to find the deals. So you need to become a deal finder. Does that make sense? The money will find the people who find the profitable deals. So become a deal finder. Start learning how to find value and unlock it. You need that knowledge of what that process is, how to analyze deals, where to look for them, how to network, and how to get off market deals as well, how to create, deal overflow. Once you master that, you could raise funds into those deals. How do you know? Because lenders will already give you money up to 100% funding. You can also do like HELOCs, business lines of credit, roping in capital partners. I've seen a lot of people, I'll say, lever these HELOCs. And on the HELOCs, also understand, if you have rental properties, there are also HELOCs that you can put on your rentals, not just your owner occupied property. So you need to understand that, because a lot of people are sitting on, oh, I got 3 rentals and I just kind of took my foot off the gas. I'm not understanding they can unlock those properties. Some of those properties you've been sitting on, you haven't appraised them. You haven't been watching the market, but the market's up. You might have 100K sitting here. I've seen a lot of California people, because their properties appreciated so much in that market over the last 20 years. They're sitting on $500,000, where they can take a HELOC and use your house to print more houses. It's like, how are you going to do that? You're going to buy them cash or through the HELOC. The HELOC's a little bit cheaper than it's a lot cheaper than a hard money lender, actually. So you're getting cheaper capital, using that to value add a property. You can usually, because you can more or less buy cash through the HELOC, you can leverage that fast, quick close in 10 days type of power in your offers, and you can get discounts. And with the savings, you can break even on many deals or cash out refinance on many deals. And this is all kind of capital recycling. And then you need to get into creative financing. If you have extreme like cash or credit issues, you need to get into creative financing. You should be focusing on lease purchase options primarily and controlling properties without ownership. That might land you. You might wake up in an alternate universe as somebody who leases properties, or lease options properties, and then Airbnbs them or midterm rents them, or you may get into some extreme arbitrage that yields lots of cash flow and control without ownership. I would dig into creative financing, because there are lots of people who, on the flip side of this, it's kind of funny, but on the flip side of this journey, like we're here, we're watching how to go from 1 to 10 plus properties. Well, I've also seen guys with those properties. I've seen guys and been around these guys where, they built 100 property portfolio, 2 partners. Now they're 65. And it always seems like the kids don't want anything to do with the real estate. It's the funniest thing. It'll happen to me too, I'm sure. And now they're going to offload this portfolio probably at a discount. And there are lots of people who are burnt out. There are different levels of that. They might have 100 properties. They might have 10 properties. Might have 5 properties, 8 properties, 15 properties. These are opportunities for lease options. People who ain't in a hurry, don't really want to sell, but getting tired, kids ain't going to keep it. You can acquire a 10 property portfolio like that pretty easily too, because the people who are operating at that level of having a 10 to 15 property portfolio, this is what you guys need to understand. When you have your 10 properties, you're not the same person you are now. Not in a negative way, but just from a knowledge and experience standpoint, you will be a totally different person. And that version of you really can digest a lease purchase option and control without ownership and all of these systems and strategies very well. So when you go and pitch that to them, they're like, oh, okay. So you just take care of everything, all the drama, and we'll just put it under account, because they've been around the block and they've seen that stuff before. So you actually can do these lease purchase options on those portfolio deals, 20 units, 30 units, 40 units, a lot easier than even a single family or, residential multifamily, if that makes sense. But I would get into that stuff. The creative financing, I mean, you can learn about for $27, quite frankly. In the community group, link in bio, link in the description, you can tap in there and learn about creative financing and lease options. And then you just have to set up a marketing strategy and go for it. I mean, there's not really that much to it. Guys, if you get value, like, comment, subscribe, leave a comment that says I subscribe, share the content with someone who you want to get value. If you want to tap into our Boots on the Ground program, where we find, finance, rehab, tenant, managed properties for you, DM me, Boots on the Ground, or drop a comment that says Boots, and we'll reach out. We only have a couple spots open. We're working on some crazy deals. We just saw a 4-unit today in a very nice neighborhood. So lots going on there. We have a question, so reach out about that. Next ride along, August 16th, Saturday. Spend a day with me touring properties. That's gonna be action packed as well. We have some massive flips going on. No rush on this question, but you said once that you like the Bronx is the best borough. If I live in NYC, is it worth investing in the Bronx, or should I stick to Philly? I wouldn't invest in the Bronx. I like the Bronx at a personal level. And if I were to invest in New York, it would probably be in the Bronx, I would say. It definitely, to me, has the best opportunities, cash flow opportunities. But no, I would not buy here. I mean, you literally can't evict. You just can't do it. And it's not where you want to be. You would rather be in Philly or Baltimore, where you can evict. I would say out of all of the three, Philly is the easiest place to file an eviction out of all three. Baltimore is in second, and NYC is in, like, it's not even on the radar. It's not even in the discussion. NYC could only be in the discussion with California. They're both bad. Wouldn't do either one of them. Wouldn't touch it. Would not touch it. I would definitely go to Philly, man. All signs would, to me, point to Philly. If all signs pointed to Baltimore, I'd be in Baltimore. And I am in Baltimore. That's the thing. It's like I am in Baltimore, but it's just not the primary. It's not the primary. It's the secondary. And you got to go for the low-hanging fruit while it's there. Baltimore is not going anywhere. You can catch that wave. It's just an early ripple right now. You can catch that wave. Philly, you could miss. You can mess around and miss Philly. And then it'll just be like, well, that was that a long time ago when you could buy for, that'll be the story. When's the next 2-day boot camp and how do I sign up? I don't know. We might be doing a boot camp next week. I'm not sure. We're doing a training tomorrow on the Boots on the Ground program. We have a lot of people always asking, how does that work? And, we'll take you on a journey through a deal. It's kind of the bottom line. We're going to show you how it works, teach you some stuff, and show you how to invest out of state. This is the bottom line. Show you how to invest out of state, the systems that you need. And if you implement it, it works. How to go fast. How to go fast. One, you have to buy right. You got to buy in affordable markets. You got to buy in affordable markets. Even in your affordable market, I would say Philly's an affordable city, Pittsburgh's an affordable city, Baltimore, of course, Cleveland, of course, Columbus, of course. Even there within affordable pockets, because every city, even an affordable city, has an A class, B class, and C class. So you still have to dig in. You have to buy in the right markets. You have to make smart buys. You really do make money on the purchase in this game because it's the only thing you can control. The cost of construction is the cost of construction. It takes how long it takes. Um, you need to really buy at the bottom, I would say, at the lowest price that you can get. So you have to know how to do your analysis to purchase right, get into the right areas, and get into affordable markets. If you're in priced out markets, California, New York, Colorado, you have to invest out of state. That's going to be your barrier to going fast. If you try to invest in a more expensive market, it's not that you can't make spreads. It's kind of more risk per dollar. Like, if you look at the debt, like if I had to go on 150K of debt to make $1,000 a month, or 500K of debt to make $1,000 a month, I'd rather go in less debt to make the money. So you have to look at these affordable markets. Even if a more expensive market could cash flow, is it worth it for the higher debt carry? Because there's a real risk associated with the cash flow. And the risk is, what if that check doesn't come in? How much is the carry? So you have to be in an affordable market naturally, to have the confidence to go fast and have the metrics to go fast. Because you won't scale into what doesn't look profitable or appear stable. You want to focus on cities with strong rent to price ratios for that reason. That's one thing that you like about Baltimore, is the rents are about as high as Philly, but it's a cheaper market. So that means it has a strong rent to price ratio. So you start looking at those markets, strong rent to price ratio and low property tax ratio, respective property tax, because some places have a very high property tax by percentage, but their property values are low. So the actual monthly payment is very low. So getting into like the relative um, property tax, that's important. That's an important aspect of cash flow, because your cash flow is rent coming in and usually mortgage, insurance, and taxes going out. Maybe, management, maintenance, certain aspects. So strong rent to price ratio is going to tell you what you need to know if this is a market worth evaluating. Number two is build your damn team. You got to build a team. You're not going to go fast. You're not going to go faster than anybody unless you have a team. That's that's the kind of the best way to say it. You're not going to go faster than anyone unless you have a team. You can certainly outwork another person who views themselves as an individual investor. You can outwork them. You can outwork somebody who views himself as a startup and starts to hire VAs and get software and try to train people into systems, because this is too many people working towards a common goal. That type of leverage in building your team. I mean, your team is going to be your contractors, your wholesalers, your wholesaler network, virtual assistants, boots on the ground inspectors, just personnel. As you start building that out, those relationships out, you're naturally going to go faster. The contractors are going to get you to the right product, the right costs, the right budgeting process. Your wholesalers are going to bring you a good flow of off-market deals. And as you scale and buy more, they're going to bring you more. Then they're going to start bringing them to you before they bring them to anybody at a certain scale, because of the speed of the money. You start buying everything they can find. They're just like, just go to him. He'll get it closed. Don't piss the guy off. So that's how you're going to build your team and go fast. You have to build the team though, because if I build this team and you don't build your team, you're kind of cooked. It's not going to work. And the last part is be conservative. If you want to go fast, you kind of have to be conservative. Or how could you be comfortable going fast? You have to be a little bit conservative. So you want to build out a strategy and money management systems that you feel are conservative. You want to feel like, hey, this is conservative. This is steady. You want to move at a steady pace. This is why you also just want to move at a comfortable pace when you're getting started, getting your first deal done, learn as much as possible. This is all about just building out and tapping in to affordable markets and building teams out. This is all going to be leverage as it falls into place. It doesn't all need to fall into place all at once. And even if it did, you probably wouldn't be ready for it all anyway. There's a good balance to doing the first couple deals and just taking your time through them and learning. But then as you are conservative, as you dial in your strategy, you buy cheaper properties, you try to make better buys, you try to negotiate tougher. You're not in as much of a rush. You start to get more conservative. That allows you to go faster because you know every deal, if it hits your screens or if you're really staying tight, you know every deal has a chance. And how I view it is deals will either overperform, perform as overperform, underperform, or perform as expected. So there's three outcomes, and two of them are positive. Two out of the three are it performs as expected or it overperforms. Those two scenarios tend to outweigh the third scenario. It's not that any deal won't underperform, but over the grand scheme of things, over 10 plus deals, 2/3 of them are either going to perform well or outperform. The outperformers are going to blow away the underperformers because they don't underperform by that much. And then the average deals that go as planned, they're still going to be good deals or you wouldn't have selected them anyway. So it kind of puts you in a driver's seat, in my opinion, just being conservative. So some of us have to trust taking our time. Some of us are in too much of a rush, to be honest, guys. Too much of a damn rush. I want you to get to 10 as fast as possible, but part of that is building up your own muscles and building up your knowledge so that you can run faster. The money is at scale, but scale is like you could do one deal in 8 months and then do 8 deals in the next 4 months. Like you could do multiple deals at once. You can scale up real fast, even off of 1 or 2 deals. So you get in, you get your 1 or 2 in under your belt, get your couple of deals in, prove to yourself, round the bases. Then you run out of questions because you rounded the bases. You're not like, so which way is it to home plate? It's like, yo, you ran around the bases, bro. You got the deal, you built it, you refinanced your money out of it, you got it reappraised, you saw the value creation. You're seeing the play develop. Regardless of how any play unfolds, just understanding that you can run that play, there are going to be some opportunities to really, cash out. 50K, 30K, 20. There's going to be some nice cash out opportunities, especially as rates start going down, and rates are going down. They're now putting that news out again. Rates are going down. So if you play this window conservatively and rates start to fall, more cash flow unlocks, more refinance opportunities. Prices will probably go up as rates go down. That's going to widen your spreads in many markets, unlock many markets. And we talked about unlocking in the cleanest way I could articulate it, at least. Hopefully it made sense in terms of how markets can unlock. But you're going to see some market unlocking as we get into early 2026, which is right there, 6 months away. So you have some time. I would say if I'm you, I'm getting 1 or 2 deals. If I've never done a deal before, I'm making a mission. I'm getting 1 or 2 deals done before the year's out. I'm making a mission. It's on my vision board. It's somewhere that I have to look at. And if you can just get 1 or 2 under your belt, running into a lower interest rate environment with rents this high, these spreads this wide, and rates going down, I think it's it's almost like a final shot for a lot of people, because the hedge funds, I mean, they're waiting for this feeding frenzy as well. This is going to be of epic proportions. So I don't know what's going to happen after this one. This is going to be a cash grab for many, and then prices could skyrocket. I really don't know. I think we're all going to get surprised. I think rates are going to go a little lower than people anticipate. The labor numbers didn't look good either. The amount of people applying for unemployment didn't look good recently. Be conservative. Guys, we're about 50 minutes in. I think that's pretty good. If you guys have any questions, drop in the chat section, drop in the comment section. If you want to tap into the 24/7 cash flow community, click the link in description, click the link in bio. Hopefully that helped you guys to understand how to go faster, but also, a big part of that is just building your knowledge and getting past common roadblocks that might seem shocking to you, or like, damn, do I really have that roadblock? These are the roadblocks. I talk to thousands of people about real estate. These are the roadblocks, man. Once you get past these, then you can actually just learn, or you can just skip over these and say, just forget about these and just go straight to the learning of the blueprint. Pick your strategy and then start executing and building out. And as you build out and just follow this process, you're naturally going to go faster. You don't even have to want to go fast. You could trip and fall into 10 deals, but you have to be in the right markets. You have to take your time. Let me answer this one question. Robin Ransom in the house. Rebecca Steiner. Let me answer this question. Super. New here, and I appreciate the knowledge. Question: how would you go about choosing a reliable contractor? Can you GC your own projects? If so, would you recommend that starting out? Thanks. Unless you have GC experience, I don't recommend doing your first project yourself. It's not that you can't pull it off. You would definitely benefit from having mentorship through that process if you've never done it. You'd probably save yourself $40,000 to $50,000 with mentorship versus without it, versus just making mistakes and getting burned by subs, which is natural to happen. Like it's almost destined to happen if you run in. Picking a reliable contractor, go see them. Some of the best people that I found, I just pulled up on them. Hey, where you guys at? Where you working at? I'm out. But that's the thing. That's part of being like full time on the real estate grind, is I'll just come pull up on you. I'll drive an hour. I'll drive out of state, pull up on a GC, pull up on the site, wherever they're working. Usually the owner's not there anyway. See their work, vet them, and then give them an assignment. I'd probably give them something small though, something cosmetic, see how they work. But going to see their work is really good. There are contractor questions that I ask. I have like 10 questions. It's in the course content. It's one of the best sections. We have a whole construction section, and this is in there. But I have my 10 interview questions, and those are good. One of the better questions, or questions you must ask, and there are many, I mean, all 10 of them should be asked, but one of them is, do you have your own tools? So I ask a contractor, guys kind of interviewing, I want to get on the project. Do you have your own tools? And I'll just sit there, and it's a yes or no. If I get what had happened was And no, I ain't got no tools. And it's like, you're not a professional. A professional has tools. That's it. If you don't have tools, if I'm buying the tools, you're not a pro. There's something wrong. There's something going on. It's a telltale sign. So there's at best or at worst a money management issue going on, because you should be able to have your own tools. So there are questions. There are also referral sources to people to go to that are better to get referrals from contractors. So it's not that you can't pull it off. You certainly can. Um, there's just not as much of a benefit to it. There's more of a benefit to finding a reliable contractor than there is to GCing your own project. Even GCing your own project is limited if you take it out far enough, because it's like, well, what's the limit to that? You're always the GC. That's the limit. If you weren't the GC, you could still be the owner and you could just find lots and lots and lots of deals. Right? And you could have somebody else GC. It's a natural holding back process. So for you to be your own GC, you're designing your operation for you to be the GC. So the scalability will always be you. You'll become the bottleneck, versus designing a business that would scale through a third party GC. And it would be more limitless. It would be a little bit more limitless. A lot of people want to GC their own projects to save money, or they feel like, oh, I can pay myself a GC fee. But in reality, you could do that by just finding a better deal as well, by just going to the auction and getting a cheaper deal that had a bigger profit spread, where you could hire a GC and pad the budget and still pay yourself a GC fee on top of your GC, pay yourself an oversight fee, but still not be responsible for the day-to-day. Because the day-to-day it's a beast. It's a bear. People don't give people are so, I get it. Like everybody's like afraid, and the world is scammy. Everything's scammy, and everybody's found a scam today. And that goes for contractors too. Contractors are guilty by association. They're guilty until proven innocent, quite frankly. But every contractor ain't a bad contractor. And people don't understand that. So they start talking to the good contractors like they're jackasses or something, or like they're screwing them over. And you just come off as out of touch. You come off as out of touch. So you have to be able to work with the good contractors too. So when you ask these questions, and you go to the right resources, you start to find the good contractors. But when you find them, you have to know how to treat them. You have to understand what they deal with. So to a degree, GCing your own deal, you would deal with so much shit that you would realize this isn't the answer. It's good for the knowledge so that you can work with the GC. So it's great for that. But there are other ways to get to that knowledge without going through maybe some of the pain of it. Because you're going to get burned by a sub. You're gonna. And you're taking on that risk versus passing that off to a GC on a fixed budget and saying, well, if he runs off with $8,000, it's your $8,000, not mine. It's your relationship. So you start, I think early on, you don't even understand necessarily how these things offset risk. Like paying a guy by the day labor can be cheaper if it doesn't rain for 2 weeks. And then we couldn't do the exterior work. Then it wasn't cheaper. And I just bled out an extra week of labor. Versus putting them on a fixed budget and just passing it off. Saying, well, if it rains, it rained on you, not me. So it's interesting. It's kind of a tough call. That's the problem, is there's not always a right answer. There are many answers that need to be evaluated, and then you just choose. You just choose. Robin Ransom, somebody named the Bronx to invest in. I know a lot of people who invest in the Bronx, but when it's time to evict, it's a beast. It's like it's just a beast, man. That happened to my family when when they rehabbed their home. Contractor didn't have tools. They paid for the tools to do the work on their home. Yeah. Yeah, I don't buy the tools. I don't buy the tools. Is auction a good place to get your first property? It can be. You definitely need a good amount of knowledge to go to the auction, because the auction just has specific rules. You just want to make sure you're navigating correctly and that you understand the risk. Any auction has risk. Properties have a risk premium. So you're getting them cheap, but they have some inherent risk you have to be comfortable with and just, navigate. But yes, as a strategy, it can be phenomenal. Yeah, you can't evict people. I wouldn't invest in New York City. Not right now. So what are the questions you ask a GC when? Yeah, I can't go through all 10. It's in the course content. If anybody wants to know, just tap into the 24/7 cash flow community. It's in the course content. Just type in like contractor and it'll pop up. Contractor interview questions. Type in interview in the classroom and it'll just pop up. You'll see the whole lesson, the training. But it's my top 10 questions, and they're good questions, and they'll really grill like it really knocks them off balance, because nobody does this. But I've dealt with so many contractors over the years. It's like, okay, I had to create a process. In that process, it also tests their skill set. Like, they tell me what they do. So what's your skill? I'm a framer. How long would it take you to frame? I'm going to start asking them questions, and I'm going to judge their answers. If they tell me something's going to take 2 weeks and it only takes 2 days, this guy's lying about his experience. Like, I'm digging in. So I would recommend it, because it's going to allow you to see through. That's the sad part about a scam contractor, is if you had a little more knowledge, you would have seen through the whole thing. But people are so convinced. Everyone has chosen one syndrome. And you are a chosen one, because you're you're daring, you're taking on the game of real estate investing. So you are the chosen one. But you are not the chosen one that is going to come out of the school of hard knocks unscathed. Like, you're gonna pay that price. Or you're gonna get to the knowledge and avoid certain scenarios altogether, and then save. Save. So that's an important part of it. That is a really important part of the contractor interview questions are crucial. Nobody really talks about that, though. They're just like, oh, you just find a good contractor one day. No, you pull up on them, see their work, but then you still got to grill them. And if they pass the test, they're usually good. It's a really good sniff test at the end of the day. It is a really good package. So I recommend just tapping in. I can't walk us through the whole 10. I don't have like the whole lesson plan out. What's your opinion on acquiring using your cash and financing the rehab, like all cash? It's very conservative. It's perfectly fine. You'll definitely save money. You lose the benefit of doing it in front of a lender. A lender provides leverage and scalability. So it's better. It's like dunking on somebody at the YMCA. Like, nobody saw it and nobody was recording it. Versus dunking on somebody on national television. People see it. If you do it with a legitimate lender or a national lender, they go to conventions, they talk to each other. They know each other. They're competitors. So if you do a deal with a competitor and then you call the lender back, even one that declines you, and say, hey, well, I just did a deal with Main Street. And they're like, you did a deal with Main Street? When? Oh, yeah, I just cashed them out on the refi. Yeah, I got about 3 more. So what are you guys talking about? Now they want to do business. So doing it in front of a lender, it gives you scalability because the problem with your cash is it's your cash. It becomes a constraint. And what if you do your first deal and everything clicks in and you're like, holy shit, with the money I took to do this deal, I could do 5 deals and I could go here, here, here. You would have the whole play together, but you would have a hell of a time convincing the lender to let you do 5 at once. You would now have a limit that you would have otherwise not had. So there is a benefit to doing a deal with a lender because it allows you to go faster along. It allows you to just move at whatever pace you can comfortably move at. It doesn't hold you back. Your cash can hold you back because all cash, maybe now you can only still do 1 deal at a time, even after the first one, because you just, refinance, kind of broke even on the deal. Cool. But kept it as a rental, 700 a month. Nice. I mean, it's infinite return, but you still now only have the capital again to do 1 deal versus like scaling a little faster. But there's nothing wrong with it. I think the more you the further out you get though in this game, if you get really good at it, then your tax situation is going to be really good. You're not really going to pay taxes on a lot of this money, and you would want to just go kind of faster and scale. You're not necessarily going to look at some of the costs negatively, some of the friction of lending. It'll just become tax losses and carry forwards to offset other forms of income, like a spouse's income. So even the tax losses have a unique benefit within this game that people don't talk about. I actually I was going to do a kind of like a guru battle with a talking head who was like all about just like creative financing. Just like, yo, creative financing is everything. Like the BRRRR strategy is not it. And I know you think it. And I was like, bro, if I start talking about taxes, I'm going to crush you. The battle never happened. The battle never happened. That's all I can say. The tax benefits are so powerful. It's like no other strategy. People don't want to talk about it, but you have to. It's a big part of it. So cash, there's nothing wrong with it. It's very comfortable. Cash is comfortable. I like my fullest answer on cash is I like a portion of my portfolio to be cash. I view it as a money manager. I would like 30% or 20% of my portfolio in cash. So I might have a section of my portfolio. Let's say if I have 50 properties, I would have 10 properties, maybe 15, all cash as a nucleus, as a gap stop to my portfolio. And then I would have leverage. I would probably start with leverage to generate enough cash to then pour cash versus try to leverage cash so long as part of my comfort zone that I went slower in my scale up. I'd rather scale with leverage and generate cash flow and cash out refinances and liquidity to then later start to build a cash section of my portfolio in a cheap city and just park capital. So you can kind of get both because the more you learn about the leverage, you see the benefits and they are what they are, man. Huge benefits to those tax losses, carrying that mortgage. Because if you set up your business to be really, let me put it this way. If you had a real estate business and it was all cash and you had no mortgage and you just went like no mortgages, like just straight cash, a lot of your money would become taxable. And you'd be like, what the fuck is this? You'd be looking at me and I'd be like, yo, I'm not paying no taxes. And you'd be like, wait, what is going on here? Well, you've set up your portfolio in a way where you eliminated most of the tax write-offs or a large portion of them that are actually favorable if you're still cash flowing on top of them. It's a weird game. It's a real weird game. You have to get into the tax side of it to be able to make that decision fully. From a gut feeling standpoint, it feels like the right move to go all cash. That's a conservative nature, and I identify with that. But from a men lie, women lie, numbers don't standpoint, the numbers on it look really good when you use the financing, how fast you can go, how much you can scale, and then the tax benefits. Okay. What moves would you make if you had 250K in the bank and 740 credit score, but no other income at the moment? Mm. I would stick with the BRRRR strategy. I mean, listen, lenders lenders are risk averse and all that, but there are DSCR lenders. What I would focus on is the exit strategy for my BRRRR strategy. I'd focus on the 30-year note. And will I be able to get the 30-year note as long as I have cash reserves? That's the question I'm asking lenders. I'm not just going to come to them and say, hey, I don't have any other form of income. I'm coming to them and saying, look, I'm conservative. I'm only looking to do a couple deals, and I got a shit ton of cash reserves. I've got 2 years cash reserves. Are we going to have a problem? I'm already presenting them with the solution because that's what the board needs to hear. The board is just maybe the 3 owners or the owner and the president or something like that. So I'm kind of going around with that. I'm going to build that relationship. There's definitely going to be somebody who's like, yeah, cash reserves are good. Well, we don't care. We're no job verification loans. Once you have that, now you can approach the front end lenders and say, look, I got 250K. I got a ton of cash reserves. And the hard money lenders, they definitely don't care because it's a 13-month loan anyway. So as long as you have cash reserves for 13 months, you could even escrow some extra. Who cares? So they'll do the deal knowing as you approach them, they say, well, that's going to be a problem on the exit, isn't it? No, actually, I already have this relationship. Do you want me to connect you? And then it's like, now I'm coming off in a certain way where I'm thinking on their level. So I'm actually going to step ahead of the problem and solving it for the front end lender, solving their risk factor, completing that loop. And you can just get deals done. I mean, I would make the same moves, but I would just solve through my lending issue first. So I would reverse engineer it. And then once I got my yeses and my play put together, now I just start finding deals and doing deals because your credit is great. And 250 is nothing to sneeze at. Levered correctly can grab, many properties, especially in a market like this. DJ said 250K is nice. Yeah, 250. It's like, damn, 250 and a 740. Let's see what Vincent is talking about here. True on the tax benefits. People don't talk about it. People don't talk about it. People don't talk about the tax benefits. The tax benefits are kind of funny to me because it kind of hits new investors over the head. Like, oh, wait, I got 20K tax loss. Like, yep. Yeah, that happened. I didn't get that. It's like, yeah, well, we told you what happened, but you really don't get it until you see it. Seeing is believing. How much would you expect to put down? 20%? Can you get? No, I would expect still like 90-10. You can probably get a 90-10. Yeah, you can get good leverage. I mean, with 250, it's pretty safe because even if you had to put down 20 and you found small deals, you're coming out like 40K per deal. You're doing 2 deals with 80K of that. And then you're sitting on what what would that be? 130, 80K, something like that. You'd be sitting on a lot of cash. At like 170 maybe. Yeah, something like that, 170. You'd be sitting on 170. That's not bad. I think people will fund that, in my opinion. The little snag I observed in Philly market is the sellers are not accepting 70 to 80% bid of the price point, which leaves little spread. how do you deal with this? I mean, you have to evaluate every deal individually. So there are definitely going to be some deals that don't go at that price range, or at least not early on. There are also going to be some deals that do go at that price range. It's kind of using all of the information to measure against. But you also have to look at the comps, because some of these markets have rapidly changing comps, or comps where you could be more aggressive and be right. That you have to develop a gut feel on. A lot of what we send out, even if it most of it hits the 70 to 80 range, we're being very conservative on value, so that because we know people will be aggressive. I would say you can go usually outside of a bid range. If you think about it logically, you can go about 10K outside of a bid range, because in order for a deal to cover that, it would only have to get like a 10 to 15K appraisal higher, maybe 20K higher. It doesn't need to be that much higher than the projection. And a market can appreciate 10 to 15K in a market like Philly of ARV in a 4-month window in peak sales season, which we're in right now. So there are also some times where you can be more aggressive and where people are being more aggressive. I never used to think in terms of a forward facing market. I always used to view, when I was new, the comps as kind of where the market is. That's all I saw, was where is it at right now. I didn't see the momentum until I started dealing with appraisers that were forward thinking and how they see value. And then I started dealing with more realtors and seeing their understanding or the market's sentiment on value. And there are times where you're looking at a forward facing appreciating market. And that's what you're looking at in Philly right now. People are buying into the future. Some people going on that 70 to 80% bid range, they might go at a 92%, and they might not be wrong. The appraisal could come back 30K higher. And it's just like, well, I guess they were right. They went 12K over, and the freaking appraisal just crushed it. So it's all kind of a total, a total analysis of a deal. You kind of have to have a gut feel and a pulse on what deal you want to go for a little bit harder, and for what reason. Does it cash flow more? Is it in a certain zip code? You have to kind of lean in on certain areas with some form of belief system. But how I also describe it is there's a bell curve distribution. I would say, I don't want to get into percentages, but if you were looking at 70 to 80% as a bid range, I would say that most deals will go under contract around 80% to 5 to 10K over 80% in a bell curve. If I had the bell curve, 70 to 80% would be 80% would kind of be the middle of the bell. One standard deviation to the left would be 70% in terms of speed of getting a deal. And then one standard deviation to the right would be about 5 to 10K above 80%. So if you start bidding in the 5 to 10K above 80% range, your win rate is going to be twice as fast as it would be if you stuck at 80%. And that will be twice as fast than if you constantly come in at 70% at the low end of even the range. So you can control your speed on certain deals. Some deals you may put in offers that are in certain ranges because the cash flow is higher, or other reasons. Some deals you may say, it's an average deal, 500 a month. I'll put in an 80 bid or a 1K over and see how that goes. You might win. You're going to win some of those. Not that you might, you're going to, because of the bell curve distribution. You're just going to win less of those than the 5 to 10K over, because you're going to start boxing out many developers. You're going to leapfrog many. And then it's the law of averages. So you control your speed. And that's what I've seen. That's been a big challenge of mine in the boots on the ground program, is that people control their own speed based on their own viewpoint and or conservative nature. And that has to be kind of honed in. It's part of the process. It's actually more, but I like shopping. Said it's actually more, but I like shopping. That's funny. LeVar Jackson, I have capital, license in PA, have two formed LLCs with bank accounts funded. What should be my next move? I mean, you're in striking distance. I would be speaking to a lender. I would be getting connected with lenders. I would be I would be, trying to find good markets and opportunities. Like, you're set up, you're kind of ready. I would be building out my network of wholesalers and other deal makers. I'll be getting into a lot of different things. But it depends. Like, what do you want your next move to be? Would be my questions. Like, what do you want? Do you want to go out and do 10 deals, rentals, flips, multis, singles? You have to narrow down, where do you want to do them? Why do you want to do them there? You kind of have to go through that process, because if you're still broad, I think your problem right now, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is you kind of don't know what to strike next because you're broad. Your focus is not honed in. If it was honed in, it'd be like, I'm going to buy in these two neighborhoods, this price point, got these guys lined up, this lender, that, and it would just be boom, boom, boom. And there'd be nothing to do but take shots at deals, man. Keep shooting the ball, you're going to make a basket. You don't got to be LeBron James. Like, if you keep taking shots at the right opportunities, you'll connect. So that's what I would do. I would kind of get I would kind of get that going. Well, listen, even if you start with a 20% down lender, you can take that information and you can go to a 10% down lender and say, look, I just successfully did a deal with them. I want to rock with you guys. And then they'll open the door. Don't take today's yes as the only yes, as a long-term yes. Don't project out into the future. One deal at 20% to get to the 10%, whatever. Not that big of a deal. It's only a big deal if it's always 20% through the entire scale up. Don't project that reality. It doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. Probably never will. In a good way. Because by the time you get there, you'll be doing much better than you anticipated and have much better relationships, maybe even 100% lender. You can't really predict a future like that. Getting started is the path to get there. But I understand hating the idea of laying down the cash. That's part of the fear of debt, but also fear of writing that big ass check. It's part of it. You can feel it. You can feel it right in the center of your chest. And it's like, damn, I got to write a big ass check. A check I've never written before. That's different. Which fear is bigger, the fear of the debt or the fear of the big check? One of them will win. Or the fear of not getting enough deals done and being stuck in some other lifestyle. So then you choose your fear. Many are just motivated by their fears anyway. So if you know you're a fear person and you're motivated by fears or blocked by fears, then you can hack that by creating a bigger fear, and then you'll choose the lesser of the fear. You'll choose the lesser. So you just get a different. You can hack your mind to just get a different fear. I'm more afraid of the 9 to 5, and then you'll get out because you're more afraid of it. You avoid what you're afraid of, so become afraid of the 9 to 5. It's the ultimate mind hack. You are correct. Likely multifamily rentals and flips when lucrative. So multifamily rentals and flips. Where do you want to do them? What's your rental strategy? Section 8, co-living, room rentals, market rentals, student rentals, midterm, short term. Got to narrow that thing down. You can't see it. You can't hit what you can't see. Yes, you are right. I just need to get started. If I make it a small deal, it won't be so much anyway. Yeah, if you make it a small deal, it's not going to be that much. It's not going to matter at all. It's not going to matter at all. It'll be good. I would like to acquire tenants and help them get into the road to home ownership. Okay. It's good. It's good to like want to help people and kind of have that mission. Just, make sure you always vet people. Just vet people well. People will try to take advantage of you in this business. You have to be careful. They'll rip your heart out of your chest at times. I need to go do the ride along in Philly and get this shit going. Yeah, you definitely need to tap into the ride along. You definitely need to tap in. Do you know about NACA? Yeah, NACA is cool, but it's a slow process that most don't get through. But it's there. If you have the time, definitely do it. Down payment assistance. And there's some others that you can do where you can do like a duplex, where you can do multifamily with the down payment assistance. I'm more afraid of the 9 to 5 for sure. Yeah. Definitely. You might be more afraid of the 9 to 5 than me. Short term, 2 years, and then assist them with purchasing. So you want to do like lease purchase options or rent to own. Why don't you just do rent to own then? You want to help people do rent to own. Acquire properties with lease purchase options and then rent to own them out to people with credit, put them on 2-year lease options with a guaranteed right to renew for a year. You can make a lot of money and you're licensed. I don't know if the license would hurt you in creative financing. It might hold you to a higher standard. It definitely gives you more exposure than someone else. And that's something to consider. But outside of that, I mean, yeah, I mean, that could be a good strategy. So I would say just picking a marketing strategy and starting to execute. And then getting some leverage, getting the right virtual assistants, getting the right people in place, scripting in place, systems in place, software in place. Just create an operation. Try it, fail a little bit, tweak it, iterate. It's 400-meter hurdles. It's going to throw some things at you. We'll see if you can swim. We'll see if you can get over some hurdles. And then you just decide how you want to do that. But I mean, it sounds like you're close. You just need like a direct path. I'd have more questions for you, but I think you just need a direct path to where you're trying to go. And then you need to test that. You need to get into testing. A lot of people are always in their head with every damn thing. What about this? And I'm not talking about you specifically, but you got to, what about this? What about that? You have to get out and test it. Let the market tell you. Go out and test a marketing strategy and see if it works. See what get the direct market feedback live from the universe. It's either going to work or it ain't going to work. If it doesn't work, well, you learn that something doesn't work or doesn't work as well as you wanted it to. You just keep tweaking it and honing it and dialing it in. And then you get it into a profit range. That's where, that's what you got to do. And there's a path to that. So, hopefully that helps, man. Said to keep it real, I'm scared as hell. Yeah, fear is always there. It always goes back to fear. That's why we scrolled back to it. It always goes back to fear. Everybody's got all these excuses about real estate and why they can't do it and what's going on. It's all just fear. It's just a reflection of the fear. I can see it. because I had to go through it. I had to go through it. So I can see it as clear as day. You're not fooling me with your big city excuses. You're not fooling me. I heard it. I felt it. I lived it. Got it. You got to push through them. How do I get to where I want to go? You take action. You know, the one thing you haven't been doing, taking action and getting direct feedback from the universe. You're so afraid of that feedback. Fuck that feedback. Good, bad, or ugly, it's feedback. And you can navigate based on feedback. Stop living in the past. You know, even after you get direct feedback, if it's good or bad, stop living in the past. Move on. Take the lesson. Navigate. That's going to get you there, and it's going to get you past your fear. What's the only way to get past our fears? To face it. To face it. Face your fears. Your fear is not of real estate. It's of failing at real estate. A lot of us are afraid to fail, so we just won't take the shot. Won't put in the work. Won't get there. Believe even if we put in the work, it's not going to work out, and there's too much fear. Just put in the work. Study the material. Learn the game. Test out some stuff. You'll shock yourself. You'll surprise yourself. You'll confirm some things. You'll accelerate. You'll believe in yourself. You'll develop a new sense of self-belief. Just keep pushing yourself. Forget about the fear. The fear is a waste of time. It's not serving you anyway, doing anything for you. For someone that has not been to Philly, what zip codes do you suggest I target as a newbie? For someone who has not been to Philly, we got a shout out from JT on IG. Said, Brian, thank you for all the help. Boots on the Ground program is a great product. And definitely appreciate you staying locked in. And we got to keep the ball rolling for you. Vincent, for someone who has not been to Philly, what zip codes do you suggest I target as a newbie? Where you target depends on strategy, because there are areas to target for rentals. There are areas to target for flips. For flips right now, I would really focus on parts of West Philly. I would focus on parts of South Philly. Definitely, the fish towns. Brewery Town can be red hot. Brewery Town it's got buyers, man. So I would focus there too. You can still get really good deals in a developing market. But I would make sure that I'm in really good sections. If I'm flipping, like, the market is definitely finicky. And I think it's been the war. The market has not reacted well to any of it. And people have not been focusing on the real estate like they should. But it looks like there's a ceasefire or something there. But I would focus on West Philly. I would focus on these A-class neighborhoods right now with where the market is. I think that that's the safest place to flip. I wouldn't necessarily be trying to flip in a B minus neighborhood. I would just go straight A-class the entire way. Just from a speed standpoint, right? Just from a speed standpoint. But buy and hold, I think that becomes more of your personal philosophy and your time horizon and, belief system. Kind of, what you're looking to do. Because there are some neighborhoods you can buy really cheap that I know are going to 2-3x in value. And then there are others that aren't unlocked yet, but are a little nicer and may offer certain aspects. There are some that will tenant faster. There are some that will appreciate faster. There are certain areas that have more multifamily than other. It really depends. What I would do, if you text me, I'll send you a zip code map where I walk you through a map of Philly. And I give you my whole take on all the zip codes. People get a lot of value out of that zip code map, because that's kind of like information that you couldn't get anywhere. You can't go on the internet and get that. It doesn't really exist in any blogs. And trust me, I've dug through all the blogs and all the stuff. So the zip code map, it's like a 30-minute walkthrough. And I just walk you through zip code by zip code. Flip here, hold here, don't buy here, this, kind of breaking it down for you. I'd recommend that. The zip code map. I thought about adding it to the course content, but it's not relevant for everyone. But it's very relevant for the boots on the ground. We may want to start sending that out with our deal reports. I'm going to consider that. That might be helpful for people to orient themselves with the zip codes. No, it's not in the school content, but it can be. I mean, it can be a part of it. I don't have any issue with it. I think the more people that watch it, the better trained you'll be and able to navigate. It's not like it's X-ray vision, but it only makes you competitive in the markets you want to be competitive in anyway. You'll naturally find those markets. You'll just find them much faster with the zip code map. So I'll send that to you guys, and I can add it into the school if there's demand. So guys, hope that helped. We have a training tomorrow night for those who are tapped in. We should have a pretty decent turnout. Boots on the ground training for the people who are looking to tap into that. Always getting questions about that. That it just is what it is. People still ask, is the boots on the ground? Is that the real? And it's like, bro, have you not seen the ride alongs? Have you not seen literally every video on Instagram is me walking through a house? Like, how much could you stage? And then with ride alongs, it's like you're coming through the houses. Many of you come out to the ride alongs, like the last ride along, and it's like we walked through 3 of this guy's houses. The people who are on the ride along saw it. They're like, damn, this is your house too? And he's like, yeah. And I got 3 more in the chamber. So people are getting deals. People are cranking through. And the crews are speeding up, which is always fun to see. There were some deals because we did a ride along in March and then May. And there were some deals that weren't started in March that were done in May. We were like, damn. Me and the cameraman were like, holy shit. This deal wasn't even started. We were just here. So the crew's moving very fast, like faster than I've ever seen these guys move right now. They're definitely in a groove. They got some new equipment. Vincent said, I've gone through the course contents. Pure. Thanks for the info. Definitely, man. Pure fire. Pure fire. Definitely, man. Listen, this course content, those who know. You tap in. If you go through the course content, you will become more educated than 90% of these people out here. You just have to pour into yourself, man. It's really you. Like if you want to get to the next level, you will be your biggest bottleneck. Your fears, your strategy, your belief systems. So you got to pour into your education. You got to invest in yourself. One of the best bits of advice I ever got was to kind of pour 1/10 of your income or some type of annual budget into self-education or investing in strategy and systems to try to advance yourself. Starting to do that in your 20s, it matters. Keep doing that year over year, trying to self-educate. You will get better. There are blueprints out there. There are definitely people. One thing I learned kind of in the whole real estate thing, there are just people with superior strategies out there. You can think you're a hard worker or you're clever or you're the chosen one, but there are people with superior strategy and they're running their strategy and it's superior to yours, which means if you use equal amounts of effort, they will get 10x the return of you because they have a superior strategy. Doesn't matter how hard you work, you'll get crushed. You want to spend some time learning superior strategies. That's what you want to do. The earlier you do that, the bigger the payoff you have. The bigger the payoff. Info is fire, and you make it easy for newbie to understand and get it. That is maybe a gift to a degree, but that is important. We don't want this to not be understandable. We want this to become second nature. We want this to become a logical line of thought that you can reference and utilize to protect yourself. So definitely, it's there so that we can just grab that info and get you guys to the next level. So guys, hope that helped. I'll see everybody on the training tomorrow night who's rocking with us on the boots on the ground training. And just stay locked in. Rates are going down. Rates are falling. We got a ceasefire. Israel, Iran, which is, peace is fantastic. Let's keep this market flowing. And I think rates are going to start falling. Stay locked in. Brian Grimes, your real estate mentor.